Hello there. I'm back. Did you miss me? 'Cause I missed me. Back we come. Let's take a quick little delivery just into town.
Let's go.
Okay, let's drive out of here. Can we go around this side? We can. Okay, which way do I pick this up? Ooh, that's a big boy. Dump truck kind of thick though. Let's get a good angle to be able to drive out again, might be an idea.
Ready
Just
to
realised I
roll.
left my preview on OBS, which will probably not help in terms of performance. Don't really need to be double rendering everything. And away we go. Got 77 miles just to get back into town. It's absurd. We are a little ways out in the country. Come on. Couldn't you have a gate open in the middle? Then neither side would have to wait as long. And cruise control. And more importantly, coffee. And let's not crash into a
Get
apple.
ready to turn right. Turn right.
Big truck coming. Let's get ahead of him. If anyone's going to be stuck behind a slow truck, it's going to be him. Take that. Got him. Yeah, there's the railway line down there. Thought it might have been a stream.
Get ready to turn right.
What I really wish is that these signs, like road signs, were a higher resolution, that I could see them from further away.
Turn right.
Because they're always quite blurry until you get close to them, and then you're usually going too fast to be able to read them very well anyway.
Go straight.
Go for the gap. Yeah.
Keep right.
Interesting layout. Kind of a nice idea, splitting up the traffic. Hey, never ever. How's Colorado so far? Good. Yeah, I do especially like this part of it. The western side in particular, where all the hills are. Very scenic. This bit around here is just mostly farmland, but the canyon that you drive through to get to Denver is quite nice. It's quite a good assortment of delivery places. Some new viewpoints to enjoy. Though, one of the viewpoints in particular is going to be really annoying when it comes to try and speedrun it, because it's a kind of one-way place to get there. So, it's going to be interesting. Ah, can work it in and just kind of go the wrong way at a certain point. But I've definitely put a lot of good work into it. Nice and scenic. It's very much my kind of terrain anyway, so I'm going to be a bit biased in that I like rocky outcroppings and greenery. So some nice rivers with a dump truck, well, not dump truck, a ute stuck in it. So that's weird. Just a rusted out ute stuck in the river. Hey, does that happen often? We have 4 more towns to deliver to finish the event and unlock our little reward. And we should be able to do that probably this stream, to be honest. It's quite a ways away to get down to a couple of them, but basically it's the southwest that I've not been to yet.
Then continue straight.
Now, I might actually buy this garage up here.
Go straight.
Because I want to be able to come back here quickly, so I can just travel to a garage.
Okay, let's find a new route.
And at some point
When
I'll be wanting to
possible,
change my
make a
truck,
U-turn.
and then I can deliver the old one here. More difficulties there are with the speedrun, the better. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Had to sporadically jump into lurk for a bit, that's fine, Tori. It's just nice that you hear it all. Yeah, I mean, the less straightforward a speedrun is always more interesting in that it gives rise to variation. Like, it's... The more variance there is makes it worse to run. I'm just going to drive through it out the other side rather than try to reverse this back onto the road. I don't know what I was thinking. It makes it harder to run and route and things like that, but it makes it more interesting to watch. Seriously, what is that getting stuck on? I'm so confused. I don't even know what this trailer is even getting stuck on at this point. That's the confusing thing. There's nothing obvious. Step trailer, I'm stuck. Maybe we will just try and do a U-turn after all. Squeak. Speedrun's incredibly easy, there's much to do with it. It's less about whether or not it's easy though. I mean, most of the truck speedruns are not difficult. They may be... Like, driving from place to place is not difficult. A lot of speedruns are not inherently difficult unless they have lots of tricks involved. And the more difficult it is, the worse it is in terms of trying to get new people interested in doing the runs, so there's that to consider as well. It depends on what the difficulty is. Like, is it a difficulty in terms of some sort of strategy that you have to consider, or is it just an inconvenience? Oops. Little love tap on the car in front. Like with the viewpoints ones, it comes down to routing, primarily, in terms of just figuring out what the fastest way between all of the disparate points happens to be. So there is a slight inconvenience in Colorado specifically, because one of them is in the canyon, and you can only get to the, like, there's no through way. You can only get to it by going in one way, going to a rest area, and looping back out the way you came. So you have to kind of go on the wrong side of the road for a bit, or just do a reversal bit.
Turn left.
It makes it slightly less intuitive. But there's also the fact that that could be your starting point. Maybe you start there and never have to worry about how to get there and then get back out again. Traffic always turns out to be the biggest problem. Correct. The traffic is far and away the worst part of any of the speedruns in this game, because that's the random element, and random elements are always going to be the main annoyance. Like, it's not difficult to a challenger anyway. Okay, I'm noticing my frames dropping again. I fiddled around with the graphics settings earlier. We're just going to have to... Maybe we'll drop this to medium and see how that goes. What else did I change? I think I changed the... I don't think I changed... Oh, reflection quality, I think. It's fine. They're just dirty mirrors. See if we get smoother. I just don't want it dropping to like 40 all the time. There we go. Now we're back up to a bit more of a smooth 60. Yeah, the traffic is always such an inconvenience. Especially where it's in thin parts or through towns where you can't easily get around it. At least the AI for the traffic in these newer games is much better than what the AI was in the older games. The traffic in the original 18 Wheels of Steel and even just the first ETS are so thick. And not in the good way, not with 2 C's. We're down to 45 again around this bit. Yeah.
Get ready to turn right.
I think it's because the SSAO is having to apply to all of these trees through here. There's a lot of trees.
Turn right.
There's a reason that I had it at low, I suspect. Ooh, that was a bit of tearing there as well. I need a better graphics card. That's what it really comes down to, but I can't justify buying one just at the moment. We're just going to have to put up with having some subpar graphics, I think. Try no AI run. Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things where if you get a good run going, the AI doesn't enter into it much, because you can usually get around it. You just have to get lucky, is what it comes down to. Like, the no AI runs, I mean, I shifted them to miscellaneous anyway, because not many people had done them, and I don't know, they're not really that different. Like, there is no actual difference, it just comes down to reliability. It's like, it's one fewer thing that may cause you to reset. So, I'm not a huge fan of the idea of them, to be honest. I mean, part of the excitement of doing the speedrun is where you have close calls and you manage to dodge traffic and stuff like that. You know, that is a lot of the excitement of it to me. It is frustrating, absolutely, but I mean, it's going to be frustrating when you muck something up one way or the other. So. Want to stream a run again because you haven't done it for a while? Yeah, I usually do my speedruns offline instead of streamed, simply because if I'm streaming, I'm wanting to be able to interact with people. And if I'm speedrunning, then I'm concentrating far too much more on what I'm doing that I don't get that interaction. I miss things. I'll see chat scrolling out of the corner of my eye, perhaps, and then feel bad that I miss things. It's just a very different dynamic. It becomes more something that people watch as opposed to something that people interact with. So there's merits to both, obviously, but as a streamer it feels bad when you're not able to keep up with everything that's being said because you're having to focus too much. I'm not nearly practiced enough at being able to swap between things. Like, maybe if I was so practiced at a speedrun that everything was pretty much muscle memory, that I wasn't really having to pay attention to what I was doing as much. But I rarely focus on one thing for long enough for that to be true. I'd find that boring if I was doing the same thing over and over. I need to practice for a speedrun event this weekend. I've done a bit
You have
already
arrived at your
offline. I'll do more
destination.
offline.
Your
I
route
was
guidance is
contemplating
now
whether or not
finished.
to do some streamed practice, just doing some note resets or something, but don't know. How the hell am I going to get it in there? Okay, well, this one will be a challenge. And why am I getting trailer damage? This is not going to be fun. Why couldn't they just make it that I could drive straight through? I'm gonna have to drive over here. Can we get the angle? Maybe. We're a bit too far the wrong way, but we might be able to bring it back. No, but we're kind of the right angle at least. We just need to... This is actually going to be tricky though. We need to overturn it a lot more. No, wrong way. We need to get the angle going the other way now. Really not much room to work with, eh? Ease it around. I think I might have overdone it now. A little bit overdone. But we can just kind of straighten it out at this point. There we go. That's the other thing that's kind of regrettable about a lot of the speedruns, is that there's no incentive for actually parking things properly. I was really hoping that the career-based ones would have that incentive for the extra XP, but it's just not worth it. You're always better off just doing another delivery. Well, that was fun. I do like the challenge. Now, we actually went completely out the other side of Steamboat Springs, because the original idea was that we get more scope for deliveries. But I think I've actually overdone it, and it's now too far the other direction, and I'm not getting... Yeah, I'm not getting any of the cars now. Screwed myself. We might need to do another one. No, I don't want to go all the way back to HMS though. Oh dear, I want to go to just in the middle of town. I think I just drive to the middle of the town at this point rather than yo-yoing backwards and forwards like this. It's that, or I just need to find another delivery, but they're all just to either Denver, back through to the other side of the town, Denver again, Lamar's completely the wrong way, Colorado Springs, I want to go further than that. Yeah, not great. Durango? I mean, I haven't been there yet. But if I'm driving back into town, then I may as well just do that myself. Not have a speed limit. Because it was this place, I think the arc is like, I was about to gesture with my hand and realised how stupid that was. The arc of the circle must be just cutting through here. Because I'm not getting any deliveries from up there anymore. I should repair my truck anyway, to be honest. Let's go do that.
Time to hit the road.
As I get closer, I can always just take a look at things again. Now we have the rally off-road section. Honestly, what I should have just done maybe is just take another one of the jobs that would take me going all the way back through the town to the machinery place again, and then drive back into town from there. I just didn't realise that it was going to push me so far out that I wasn't going to get other jobs again. If there's such a thing as an off-roader truck, I mean, all trucks are kind of off-roader trucks. They're all made that they can. They have decent wheel clearance and stuff like that. I even have some of the special off-road tyres fitted, I think, at the moment. You know, the suspension and the clearance and everything is set up so that they can drive to an extent off-road, but not like rally style. A monster truck? Monster trucks are off-road trucks. Otherwise, you're getting into like all-terrain vehicles more than in trucks per se. Finally, we get to stretch our metaphorical legs and not be stuck at 65 miles an hour the whole time. It's the problem with the community events being the external contracts. Obviously it makes perfect sense, that's the only way they can track progress, but why they have to have you limited to 65 all the time, I'm not sure, especially when the speed limit on some of the motorways is higher than that.
Turn left.
Oof, now I definitely need to repair. He came in faster than I expected. This is pretty quick. Yeah, that was nice. I might be a little bit of a speed demon. That might be one of the reasons I enjoy speedrunning the game so much. It's also one of the other reasons why I had the graphics settings lowered, because it gets quite jerky when travelling at high speed, because it's having to load things up quicker.
Then turn left. Turn left.
I think I'm going to turn the SSAO back down again. I want to have it on at least low, but put it on low again. Reflection gears back on there. There's not all that much else that I want to compromise on though. I've already dropped the scaling down. Maybe the scaling can go back up again now. Maybe to 125. We'll see what difference that makes. Usually play racing games other than these sorts of things sometimes. I used to a lot more. I haven't for a while. I was enjoying the Crew 2 for a bit at one point. I have a Assetto Corsa, which is more of a kind of slightly more hardcore racing simulator. Oh, that was a lot of tearing. Probably had to reload a bunch of textures because I changed the settings. Yeah, Assetto Corsa is quite fun as more of a racing simulator. But I don't know, I just haven't felt like dedicating that much mental energy into them. Okay, now let's take a look at the job market again. So Alamosa is there, but I didn't want the heavy articulated one, because that's a hell of a hiding to nothing. There was a place from V, but that no longer seems to be offered, so that's a bit disappointing. I mean, we could take it. It's a long way to go with a very heavy trailer, but it at least gets us where we want to go. Because there isn't anything else that I like the look of. Well, I could do that one first. The other one must have expired or something. Sure, we'll just maximize our earnings by doing this one. We have to drive to HMS anyway, again. We've just basically driven through the town and back again for no good reason. I should have just accepted that job right at the beginning. Or accepted the V1 that showed up right to start with. Ah well, live and learn.
Okay, here we go.
I wonder if having the scaling
Get
at
ready to turn
125% is somehow worse because it's an odd
Turn right.
proportion that it's having to do. Because I'm sure this is less smooth than it was at 150.
Go straight.
We're just going to be
Then
playing
turn
around
left.
with a few things. You're just going to have to be a bit patient with this. Let's try putting that to 150 again. You know, I'm going to try putting the grass density down to low. I don't want it looking too sparse, but I do notice there is a lot of grass. Let's see what the difference is. I can review the footage that way and see what the difference looks to be, because it's hard to tell sometimes.
Turn left, and then turn right.
Well, it's definitely smoother
Turn
now.
right.
So I think it is a problem that 125 is just an odd
Finally,
proportion.
we are here.
Is it tucked down the side? So it is. Okay. Odd place to stick it out of the way.
Come on, there's a job to do.
Probably buy a Assetto Corsa if you're wanting to play a racing game in VR. Yeah, I do have VR. I've not actually tried it for Assetto Corsa. I picked it up because it was on a big special at one point.
Turn right.
I think they've released a newer version since. The one I've got is a few years old now. Drag race. Yeah, boy. Somehow I won. Who knows? Racing games in VR are tricky though, because if you don't have a good field of view, then it can be a bit nauseating, to be honest. And the problem with my headset in particular is that the focus point is too small, like right in front of your eyes. It's just a small circle is where you can focus. So, like, in order to check your mirrors, you can't just look in your peripheral vision. You have to look right at the mirror in order to get it. I think you can still have the virtual ones enabled, I'm not sure. Actually, I can't remember. It's been a while. I did try it on Eurotruck quite a while ago. But also my headset's playing up. It keeps not being recognized properly by my computer. I think I just need to uninstall all the drivers and reinstall it again. It's getting mixed up on something. I have a Lenovo Explorer headset, so it's just a Windows mixed reality inside out camera. Like, it doesn't have the full room tracking or anything like that. So it's pretty basic. It was basically the best of the cheap ones. So the field of view is decent, but the focus area is small.
Keep left.
But it wasn't too expensive. I mean, I mainly got it so I could play Beat Saber, let's be honest. But we've since also got a Oculus Quest, which is one of the wireless ones. And that is really good for Beat Saber, because you don't have a cable getting in the way when you're flailing around with your arms. Though I have started using that with the link cable, so I plug it into my wife's computer in order to play Steam games through it. So I play Beat Saber on Steam instead of through the Oculus version.
Get ready to turn left.
So that way I can use more of the mods. So I could try doing the same thing, because that is more reliable.
Turn left.
And I think the resolution is better as well. It's slightly newer, so it's about a year newer, I think, than the Lenovo. The controllers are so much more ergonomic on the Quest as well. The controllers for the Lenovo are big and chunky and top heavy, and I would always get cramp when trying to use them for too long with Beat Saber. That's probably the worst thing about it, is just the ergonomics of the controllers. Like, they don't have any sort of contour for grip or anything like that. I don't understand how they thought it was a good idea to make them so basic.
We're here. Now drop the load and
But the
go.
Quest is a very good investment for like beginner VR, because yeah, for one, it's wireless and it's pretty much does everything that you need it to or would want it to. The only limitation is that the tracking is not as precise. So the full room tracking ones are much better when it comes to really reliable tracking. But they're also like twice the price, so screw that. And you need to actually set up like the light stations and stuff, the light boxes. And I don't have anywhere to do that, even if I wanted to. But it would also be a complete waste for just sitting down for just seated games like this or Subnautica, for example. So just a mixed reality headset is perfectly adequate for these sorts of games. The Quest 2 supports both formats. Not sure what you mean by formats. Like the Quest 1 you can plug into your computer, if that's what you're meaning in terms of the wired and wireless. I'm not sure what you mean by formats. Now, it is still there. Good. Would just be just my luck that it had disappeared in the meantime. Standalone and PC VR. Yeah, I mean, the Quest 1 does the same thing. And the Quest 2, honestly, is looking like a ripoff. Like, they're pricing it to be, I think, slightly more expensive. Or it might be slightly cheaper for the base, but you pretty much always are going to want the extra strap that they provide. And now there's another one. I'm just going to drive back to there in order to take this job, because it's going to be so much more nice to play with than an articulated heavy load. I can actually just teleport to my headquarters.
Pedal to the metal, man.
Or my garage. If I go garage manager, I should be able to go here and just go travel. Oh no, I can't while I'm on a job apparently. Fine. It's fine, we get a race section again. Yeah, the Quest 2, it looks cheaper. Like, the plastic of it is worse quality by all accounts. They've basically dumbed it down even more. Like, the Quest 1 was relatively cheap, but still felt quite premium. And the head strap is really good because it's got good Velcro adjustment, it's got good elastication to it. Like, my wife has a much smaller head than I do, but we can just freely put it on between us without any adjustments whatsoever, because it just deals with it. It's got the elastication. The Quest 2 does not have that. The premium, supposedly premium strap or whatever, is more like the original, but they charge you an extra $150 or something stupid for it. Better performance, higher refresh and higher resolution. It's not much of that though, that's the thing. It doesn't have much of that.
Get ready to turn right.
But to me it's a case of, it's all well and good to have better hardware in it if that is true. Like if it does provide a good thing, but the experience still has to be nice. It's just the fact that they are making what should be a standard part of the offering, being a good ergonomic strap, an optional extra that you have to pay more for, that pretty much everyone is going to want, just grates at me. I hate it when companies do that. Just does not sit well at all. I mean, just have the RRP slightly more expensive and market it with that, instead of having a worse option. All you're doing is kind of sullying your brand. I'm also really not a fan of, really not a fan of how they're making it so much more integrated with Facebook specifically, instead of being able to have a separate Oculus account, because I'm not a big fan of Facebook. I don't really care about the whole data mining and stuff and things like that, but just don't have much information on your account if it's a concern. And it's just a weird move to make. They're really pushing the social angle, and I don't give any craps about the social element of it. I don't care what friends are playing or any bullshit like that. I'm not interested in virtual worlds or anything like that. I just want the headset. I don't want the social experience. I just want the gear. And just the fact that you need to set it up with some sort of account instead of it just being plug and play or turn on and play bothers me. So if you needed to log into something for, like, you know, obviously you need a Steam account to be able to log in and play Steam games.
Keep right, and then turn right.
But previously you had the separate Oculus store instead. So you just use an Oculus account, but it's all just becoming Facebook instead. And it's, yeah. I prefer to keep things separate.
Go straight.
To me it is just a tool. It is something that you plug in, and you should just be able to plug in and go.
Ready to turn left.
Or just turn it on and go. I don't know.
Turn
It
left.
is what it is. We're not likely to upgrade for a while because we already have the first generation, and it's definitely not worth upgrading to a Quest 2. If you don't have any of them, then yeah, the Quest 2, I mean, they're not going to be selling the Quest 1, so yeah, you get the 2. You just want to get the strap.
Turn left.
But also just the quality of the plastic and
driving.
stuff just looks worse as well, which is disappointing to me. So it's the fact that they, I don't know,
Drive safe.
part of the problem might just be they did too good a job on the first one, to be fair. It's like the first one was much cheaper but didn't feel it.
Turn left.
And the fact that they've now got the second one, which is similar price point but now
Get ready to
feels
turn
cheap,
right.
is I think the problem. It's the fact that I've got the point of reference of the first one.
Turn right.
I mean, what I really hope is just that more companies start getting into the wireless VR space. We really need to have more competition
Go
in that
straight.
space. And also, I mean, it doesn't have to be wireless, just wired in general, but like the mixed reality headsets are really good. I believe the HP, is it Reverb 2 or Reverb S or something like that that's coming out soon? That looks really good. I don't know what price point that is aimed at, but for sit down and play games especially, that's going to be a really good one. And I mean, playing with a cable for like freestanding VR is not the end of the world if it's well designed. Find the original strap fine to save the money? Yeah, I mean, definitely you just try it first. If you are the only person using it and you just get it set up to your liking, then it'll probably be fine. So for me, it's a case of my wife and I share it, so it's technically hers, it was her Christmas present. But especially with something like freestanding or standalone VR, it is much more of a like party game thing. We took it away with us over Christmas last year so that her family could have a play with it, and they really loved it. And the default strap for the first one was really convenient for that, because we didn't have to make any adjustments whatsoever passing it between different people. But with the new one, the Quest 2, it's more of a strap similar to my Lenovo headset, where it's got like a twisty knob at the back and you have to adjust it every single time. So yeah, if you're the only one playing it, you probably won't have to do that. It'll probably give every now and then, you'll have to just tighten it up every now and then because it'll probably slip. but yeah, it might be fine. Just kind of goes against the spirit of what it is and what it's trying to do, in my mind. But then, to be fair, as a company, Facebook are far more going to be wanting, instead of multiple people using the same headset, they want you to buy multiple headsets. So, Reverb G2, that's the one. Yeah, the G2 sounds really good. If I can at all justify doing so sometime in the next year or so after it's released, or it might be released now actually, I can't remember. If I can justify it to myself, I would love to get one of those to replace my current Lenovo headset. So that way I would have something that wasn't the Quest to be able to play with. But at the end of the day, I don't need it. It's like that SpongeBob meme. I don't need it. I don't need it. I need it. Because when it comes to things like controller tracking, if you're sitting down playing a game like Truck Simulator or anything like that using a controller, you don't need hand tracking. So it doesn't matter how good that is or how bad it is. It doesn't matter that the controllers for my current one are unergonomic, because I don't use them. But what does matter is the quality of the screen and the focus point, and instead of being focused in a small bit, I believe the Reverb is more like that. So your focus point is more of an oval, so you actually get some peripheral vision out of it. And that would be a big deal. Rocky Mountain National Park. Oh, really? That's going to be a fun drive at some point. I also have a bunch of other VR games that I really need to get around to playing. It's pretty much just the default is that if we have the time to play VR, it's usually when our daughter is in bed, for example, at night. It's a case of, I feel like doing some Beat Saber. But there's a few RPG games and stuff that sound quite fun. What would be really good is if there was anywhere that you could try them out, but unfortunately that's not really a thing. Most VR experience places will just have one type of headset that they stick with. That'll usually be like a Vive or something, whereas if I could go into a store and trial some of the different ones, like the Quest 2 and the Reverb, and have that point of comparison, then that would be really nice. But I understand why they don't want to. It's too expensive and too niche to really bother about. I just need to become one of those full-time Beat Saber VR streamers that seem to just get the newest headset every single time, because it's essentially a business investment for them. But I'm not good enough and female enough to do that. I don't imagine I would get all that many followers. Right into things that would make so much sense. It's just because VR is still quite a niche thing, realistically, and you'd then be left with a demo headset essentially that you could only sell as a demonstration model. So, I mean, over in like the States or Europe or something, I could imagine it being a thing that some specialist computer store might do, like a VR trial or something. Especially if you ask them really nicely, then maybe they might have a test rig. But here in New Zealand, the population is way too small for that to be worthwhile. There are not enough people interested. And like, there are places that you can pay for a VR experience where you can hire headsets if you don't want to buy it yourself. But as I say, they'll either do it in just their space, so you go to them and it's kind of like a karaoke bar at that point. It's a VR bar. And you just, or they'll be for functions, and then what you are hiring is that they will come and set it up for you with their computer and have some stuff installed on it that you can then try. So it's a very different sort of thing. So yeah, the UK have VR mentioned a lot now. Yeah, it's it's becoming more of a thing. More people are interested in it, but it's still very much an enthusiast-only sort of thing because it's expensive. So, but the same sort of people who will find money to drop on the new PlayStation 5 or the 3090, things like that. You know, it's staggering to me the number of people who will just seem to have the disposable income to go out and do that. It's just, I'll just buy myself a new graphics card. Oh, new graphics card range is coming out. I'm going to get the latest one. How do you afford that? Like, I'm pretty well off. You know, humble brag. I've got a well-paying job, and we don't have a huge amount of outgoings. Yeah, I've got, you know, family to support, but we do all right. But I still can't justify dropping over $1,000 on something just for the sake of it every year. I could, I suppose, but I'd feel bad doing so. Maybe that's the difference. Also, I'm just a tight ass, so that doesn't help. It's like, am I getting value out of it? Yeah, 3090s are... Is there a 3070 yet? Because that would probably be what I'd go for. Like, I have a 1070. 1070 seemed decent, like it was worth paying the extra over a 1060. It wasn't worth getting a 1080 at the time, because that was an extra $200-300 US dollars. Not US dollars, New Zealand dollars. So I settled for the 1070. When the 2000 range came out, I looked at them and it's like, it's an upgrade, sure, but it's not much of an upgrade. Like a 2070 is better, but not to the point that I would really notice the difference. Okay, so they do have a 3070 in the range. Okay, I need to look at that and do some comparisons. I remember when the initial announcements were made about the 3000 series, it was just like the 3090 and the 3080. And, you know, it was likely that more would follow, but I haven't kept up with it. So I don't feel that I am in the market for one at the moment, so I haven't paid close attention. When he flies. Where should I stop for rest actually? Hour 22. There is I think I'll just go straight ahead at the next big interchange into Denver, because there's a rest stop and the headquarters that I can just buy for the sake of it. I really should take the time to spend some of my money on more trucks. Most popular comparison was the 3070 versus the twice expensive 2080 Ti. Well, if it compares that favourably, then I just want to know what sort of price it is. Because that's the other thing, is they seem to have really stepped it up such that the, like, as you say, the 3070 is comparable to the 2080, but the price point is also stepped up. So it's not like the 3080 was the same price as a 2080, for example. It seemed to be more expensive than that. Maybe that's just because we're in an island, or maybe it's just because things are scarce at the moment with the whole global situation. But it just felt like the prices were a step above what they have been previously. So I'm just going to go straight through in order to go to the rest stop, because I have quite a way to go on this delivery still. Yeah, I'll fill up on fuel while I'm there as well. Assuming it's gas as well over there. I think there was a rest stop over there. Maybe there wasn't. I should actually look at the big map instead, probably.
Keep right, and then exit
No.
right.
I was going to pop into the garage anyway, which I guess I can use the garage as a rest stop,
right.
can't I? Because there is the blue bit there, isn't there?
left.
Yeah. So it shows the garage as a rest area even though I haven't actually purchased it yet. That's weird.
Turn left. Turn left.
Okay, what's my dash display doing? Why are my frames dropping again? I want the thing that shows me how much further I can go on my current tank. And it's not showing me that. It's showing me the trip miles per gallon. 3730 miles. It's definitely not that amount left. That's how much I've done.
Recomputing.
Don't know. Because normally they have a thing. I need to change the dead zone on my controller, looks like. It's another thing I should probably get a new one of at some point, is a new controller. Because I've just got an old Xbox 360 controller. It's a bit old. It's done me well. Because that's the cruise control view. Yeah, none of them are showing how many kilometers estimated to empty. That's really weird. Oh, well, whatever. Purchase the garage. Bye. We'll sleep first, that's more important. So, 469 quid in the UK for a 3070, and then 1099 for the 2080. Yeah, but what's the comparison between that and what a 2070 was what I was meaning. I think the rail thing is almost like the shape of a train engine. That amuses me. So where would I stop for fuel on the way south? There's a big service station there I could stop at. It's an hour and 50 away. It's probably my best bet. 252 miles.
Get on with it.
I don't know, maybe I could make that on one tank. So where's the bit that lets me rest instead of... go, the bloody trailer's getting stuck again. I always forget about the trailer. Normally it lets you stop and rest. Instead of doing the garage manager thing. Yeah, manage this garage. I don't want to manage the garage, I want to sleep. I thought it usually did that when you just first entered. Maybe I just go to Denver. I'll just drive down the road, screw it. If I go over a bit, what am I on? 31 minutes? And it was... yeah, hour 51 to checkpoint. Never mind. Okay, we want to go to this checkpoint then.
Let's get this job done.
Little diversion.
Keep right, and then exit right.
For crying out loud.
Exit right.
I keep forgetting that this is an extra long trailer. About 420 quid, yeah. There was a step up price, yeah. Even though it's not a massive one, mind you, I mean, almost double that when it comes to New Zealand dollars. So it's basically gone from about $800 for a 2070 to closer to $1,000 for a 3070. So depending on what the 3060 is like, that might be what I'm more in the market for.
Keep right. And then
It's just a lot of money to sink into a bit of electronics.
Exit right. Keep right, and then turn right.
The really frustrating thing for me is that I put together a computer for my wife last year, and it has better specs than mine does now. It's one of the reasons I use it to play Beat Saber through the Oculus Link.
Keep left.
But got her a Ryzen 5 3600, I have a 1600, and a 2070, and I have a 1070. It's like, can you just have my computer and I'll just build myself a new computer? But that felt mean. I don't know, honestly, I could swap the video cards around when she's not at home and she wouldn't notice the difference. But
Keep left.
feels a little bit
Turn
rude.
left. Turn left.
I would upgrade my CPU as well at some point, but I know there are compatibility issues with certain games.
Finding. Rerouting.
Because I had someone wanting to play Subnautica on their new computer. Like, they were so excited they were getting a new computer and everything. Would you shut up, GPS?
Rerouting. Find recomputing. Never mind. Rerouting. Find never.
Why is it doing that so much?
Okay. Rerouting. Never mind.
Geralt is
I'll find
beatboxing on us.
Finding new.
Freestyler.
Okay. Rerouting.
Okay, the sooner we can get out of here, the better.
Never mind. Okay. Finding new route.
Oh, it was right between the... Okay, I see the problem. It was right between the point of telling me to go left out of here or right out of here. And it just... I was right on the line. And it just kept swapping between which way it wanted to tell me to go. That's quite amusing.
Recomputing.
Oh, wonderful. I love it when games break. And the 3090 is $13.99. Yeah, no. Just draw a 2 instead of a 1. She wouldn't even notice. She's not like... Yeah, she's not techno cabbage or anything. She is a gamer as well, but not to the same, like, proficient extent. So when it comes to the actual components, it's very much a case of I sort it out, she doesn't want to have to think about it, which is fair enough.
Keep left, and then turn left.
I just need to wait until there's a good special. Over Christmas and stuff, places usually do sales and things, so maybe then I can justify something to myself. Just realised that I'm still going to have the other checkpoint on. I don't care about that anymore because I've already stopped and rested and everything. Yeah, by that stage prices might have stabilised a bit as well. It's also a case of, by that stage, there might be some more firmware things. But yeah, CPU is another thing I would like to upgrade. But yeah, I know that there are compatibility issues, because there was a compatibility matrix from AMD themselves, and there was a issue where, for the likes of some of the Assassin's Creed games, I think, and for Truck Simulator actually as well, and Subnautica, all had, I don't even think they even share a game engine, but for whatever reason there was some lack of compatibility with the 5700 XT and the Ryzen 5 in combination. Or it might have just been that the cross was against the CPU being the 3600 when it came to the compatibility matrix. So that makes me a little bit hesitant about just dropping a new CPU in at some point. Because I'd really not have to worry about games like this crashing randomly when I wanted to play them. Because that would be annoying. Because then it would be a case of I'd have to basically use my wife's computer to play games. But there's also the fact that at the moment we're looking to buy a new house, So it's a bit hard to justify spending on other accessories, because we need a bigger house, and that is a higher priority. But then, on the other side of things, it's a case of, well, if you're going into debt by a few $100,000, treating yourself to something that's less than $1,000, it's kind of a drop in the bucket at that point. It doesn't actually make a huge difference. But the more that we have available as deposit in the meantime, the better. It just makes it easier in the short term. So 3 hours, almost 4 hours in-game time, that's about 12 minutes in real time, so that'll be getting close to 1:45. I'm just determining how long to keep streaming, because I do need some lunch at some point. I started streaming quite late.
Keep left.
We'll see how we go after this one. I only have like 2 more cities to deliver to, so I'm kind of keen to knock it out of the park, but I can stream again tonight and do more then. Maybe finish it off. Can't remember what the closing date is for the event. I know the community goal has already been reached, because there was a goal to do 60 million miles of deliveries, and that's already been done. It's taken a week. But the other component of it is the deliveries to and from each of the cities. I mean, I can finish it off stream, but it's the sort of thing that I like doing on stream. It's always nicer to have a goal that you're working towards when you're streaming this sort of game, I feel. I find it harder to be as invested in playing a game just freeform by itself. If there isn't some sort of goal to it, then I'm far more likely to be distracted by wanting to watch something on TV or something at the same point, because if I'm just messing about, then I don't feel that there's the same need to focus on the game. And it's like gives people a reason to actually watch. It's a case of, oh, we're doing this. Not that I get many people watching, but I forget there's that viewpoint off there again. I need to actually go to Cell Plan at some point. I think that's another one up in the hills too. At some point I just need to do some exploration, because I really need to discover where all of the viewpoints are so that I can map out a route for the speedrun. It's also a bit of a silly idea, but I have some of the older games from the same developer, and I kind of want to do some speedruns of those as well, just for the fun of it. Like, they recently did the 18-year anniversary for 18 Wheels of Steel, the first one, which is what this paint job is commemorating. And I found that I still have it. So I was tempted to do it's harder to put together speedruns for it, because it doesn't have much in the way of career progression. But you do start off with a crappy truck, so you can do like speedrun to upgrade to the next truck. You could have different tiers going up, so it could be first to get this truck, first to get that truck. And there's also 3 difficulty levels, different maps. Instead of it all being one unified map like this, they had easy, medium and hard, where easy was California, basically. It was the Pacific Coast.
Keep left.
And then medium was the Midwest, I think. And then hard was the Rockies. So you started in Denver when you played on hard. So you could have it split by those as well. Because I think in easy you actually start with the second worst truck, not the worst truck. But in hard you start in a more challenging environment with the worst truck and less money. What headset am I using? It is HyperX something. I can't remember the exact. HyperX Alpha, I think. Cloud Alpha. Looks like a good one. It is a good one. Yeah, I am quite demanding when it comes to audio quality in particular. Microphone quality is neither here nor there, realistically. I mean, obviously, when I am streaming with a microphone, it's nice. I've been using it for work calls as well when working from home, obviously. I used to have a SteelSeries Siberia, the V2s, and they were really nice, but they discontinued them. They replaced them with a different numbered range, and they're all worse. The audio quality on them is worse across the board, which was really disappointing. So then I played around with I had the HyperX Cloud Revolver before this one. And it was good, but the head cups were a different shape, and the padding was not thick enough. So I was finding, over time, they just compressed. They just wore out. And then I was finding my ears rubbing on the inside of the headset and actually feeling sore. So I needed to upgrade from that. Also, the rubber was flaking, which often happens with headphones. And yeah, this was the Cloud, I think, HyperX Cloud. Hey, Atto and Kruko, welcome, welcome. How's the trucking going? Good. We almost finished our objective. We have, I think, 2 cities to deliver to after Alamosa. I may do them now, but I do need to have lunch. So I may end up stopping stream after this delivery. We'll see how long it'll take, and I might finish off the rest tonight.
Keep right, then exit right. Exit right.
Yeah, one of the good things with this headset is, I'm not going to demonstrate it now obviously, but the microphone detaches completely. It doesn't just like fold up or retract or anything. It has a 3.5mm plug that you can yank it. So when I'm using it just as a headset, when I'm not streaming, I just yank the microphone so I don't need to worry about what it's doing. It just sits off to the side. I still have the one from my last headset too, actually. It's just a microphone that you can just plug in. So I can technically swap between the one that I was using. It's also got inline controls, which are really good. So it's got an inline mute and volume control, instead of anything on the headset having to faff about. Like, my wife's got a Razer headset, which is really good. It's also pink, which she loves. And it has a microphone that retracts, so it slides in, which is fine. But the mute is like on the end of it. You have to like tap the end to mute it. And that just seems awkward to me. I much prefer just having a button, so I can just reach across and just tap mute. It also has surround sound, theoretically, but I never bother with that, because honestly it makes it sound worse. I just realised my cruise control was set completely incorrectly. I think I must have pressed the wrong buttons at some point. You're late getting here, yep, pretty much. Tori just been lurking. So what are the other two places I haven't been to? I think Durango is one. I can't remember the other place that I've not yet delivered to. I think I'm in like the right area, that if I get lucky on jobs, and that's the thing, is now that there's only a couple of places left that I haven't delivered to, I'm basically rolling the dice every single time I'm looking for deliveries, hoping that I'm going to get ones that go to the right place. And as I get fewer and fewer places to go, it becomes harder. They did at least make it that you don't have to just deliver to the cities. It is also deliveries from the cities. So theoretically I can just drive to the city I need to go to without a trailer, pick up whatever the shortest thing is that qualifies. It has to be at least 100 miles, but I can just pick up a delivery, do it, and then just go to the next one and do the same. So if need be, I can resort to that, but it's less fun that way. I always like to travel with the trailer as much as possible. So if I can, I will. Back to some desert scrub. Better be careful with that paint job around here, it's pretty dry. Wouldn't want to set anything afire. Yep, someone's got an old rig. Alamosa discovered. It says 10 out of 13. But I thought that I was already... Maybe I'm missing more than I thought. I thought I was only missing 2 places. Maybe I'm missing 3 after this one. Beep beep, excuse me. Oh, it's the Rio Grande. Huh. Oh, well, there you go. That goes a long way, doesn't it? The length of some of the rivers in the States is just mind-boggling. Now, is that a recruitment place around the other side, or a viewpoint? I'm guessing a recruitment place. Casually, illegally passes a cop. Yeah, you know, it is what it is. This is why I don't have fines enabled in this game.
Go straight.
When I was young, I played the games a lot more legally, you could say. Especially when you're first starting playing, it's good practice. Even if you don't actually have the fines enabled, it's good practice to just abide by the laws anyway.
Keep right.
You're far less likely to crash and do yourself damage that you then have to pay to repair if you drive responsibly. Once you get more comfortable with what you're doing and the sort of chances that you can take and how your trucks handle, meh.
Get ready to turn left.
Then it becomes more fun to be risky.
Turn left, and then turn right.
I don't know, there's definitely some people who would play this like by the book, and they would feel bad if they didn't. And that's fair. It's very much the sort of game that you can play how you like, which I really appreciate. Been playing some Euro Truck Light following the rules? Yeah, fair enough. It is quite therapeutic in some ways. It's kind of meditative in just following the rules and just driving as you should. Because then you don't have to worry about cornering properly and whether or not you're going to crash or anything like that. It depends entirely on whether you feel like having that risk or whether you just want to take it easy. When I'm streaming offline, which I don't do so much these days, if I'm streaming off Truck Sim offline, I'm usually speedrunning it. But back when I used to play more by myself, If I'm watching something at the same time, especially, then I'm far more likely to just drive legally because I don't want to be paying as much close attention because I'm watching something else. So this is awkward because it's on a slope, so it's throwing off my interpretation of the angles. That's better. Yeah, it's a different one. I've not had to park on a slope. Yeah, like watching people disregard them entirely. Yeah, I feel it's more entertaining for people to watch when you're taking risks and breaking all the rules. It would be a lot less interesting, I feel, if I was just plodding around.